Hey, so the other day I was on a ferry going between Bridgeport, Connecticut and Port Jefferson, as they call it, Port Jeff, New York. And while I was on the ferry, I got this panic call from one of my clients, a nurse in one of the health systems in the state, who had just gotten an email from HR. And they were a little bit concerned about some issues. And she and I had been talking about it and what to expect and what was going to happen. But she didn't expect to get a performance kind of ongoing performance review, evaluation, monitoring kind of a situation. And so we talked about it. But what had happened was that email, when it came in and she read through it, created this huge wave of anxiety on her part and almost a panic attack. But having worked together a little bit, she knew what to do. She was doing her box breathing and had done some movements. And it was calm enough to talk about it. And then as we walked through what the issues were and what she needed to be concerned about, we got to a place where she was feeling better. She was feeling calm. She was feeling safe. She kind of understood what that side of the business wanted and was asking of her what her side and response needed to be. And panic was not one of the things that needed to be there. And anxiety in general didn't need to be there. It just, she's doing fine. She's happy where she is. It's a good space for her. But when anxiety comes, when our body responds to it, when the limbic system fires off, and that little amygdala inside our brain and the hippocampus, these two little the amygdala is like a little tiny piece of almond. I mean, like not piece of almond, but the size of an almond in our brain that's developed over the years to warn us of danger. And in prehistoric times, necessary, needed. You don't want to be like a big pterodactyl up in one of these trees, swooping down and picking you up and bringing you home for dinner. None of us wanted that. Or a saber-toothed tiger hiding in the bushes back there, ready to pounce and attack us. And so our we developed a system in our brain to pay attention, all five senses, and sort of filter through the messages that are coming in and identifying, are any of those, when you put them all together, do they add up to warning, danger, danger, warning, warning, like an engine light in your car kind of flashing at you. Engine, engine, engine. Okay, I get it. This is important. I don't want to run on with no oil. So it's the same kind of thing. So the system, the body, the body mind developed this way of warning us that, hey, there's something going on. Pay attention. Anxiety is real. There's like a normal kind of a level, or there's like a normal level of anxiety that we go through. And then something happens and triggers it, and then it fires off all kinds of stuff, and all the chemicals get into the system. Once that happens, if you get flooded with adrenaline, your heart speeds up, shortness of breath. Why? We've talked about it, but just to remind you, it's because we're getting ready to flee, or fight. In particular, it's like it revs you up as if you've jogged around the block a couple of times. You've done your warm-up laps, and now you're ready to do the 100-yard sprint. So the shortness of breath is not you not able to breathe. It's the mechanism of, if you're going to be running fast, you need to already be kind of like in a panting mode, ready to go. Heart, same thing. It needs to be speeding up and pumping blood. And then it withdraws all of the blood near the surface of the body and brings it back into the main veins and arteries. Again, if you get clawed, you get attacked, you don't want to bleed to death. So it already is restricting that. And you can feel that pressure inside. You can feel the withdrawal. Digestion stops. This is not a time to relax and be chill and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely not. So all of that simple email triggered all of that. This is as if it were life and death. That's how the system interpreted it. This is a life and death crisis. Was it? No. Kind of nothing, actually, in the larger scheme of things, but I'm not going to go into that. So we're going to keep talking about anxiety because we live in this age of anxiety where everything around us is sort of stimulating and activating and triggering us. And if we've already had a little history of trauma, and we have, I mean, if you've been born, you experienced trauma. I mean, that was a traumatic event. Whether you got squeezed out or lifted out, it was still traumatic. You were 9 months with automatic feeding systems, air conditioning. Well, air conditioning. It was climate controlled. It was a constant temperature. Food when you needed it and wanted it. You had a tube feeding you oxygen, so the diaphragm could go up and down. Lungs would take in the amniotic fluid and pass it out, push it in, pass it out. No problems. You weren't choking. You weren't suffocating. You weren't drowning. Amazing. But at some point within that 9-month range, some of us a little shorter, some of us a little longer, out you come. And then your lungs have to breathe, and those little bronchi have to take in oxygen. Oh yeah, that's like the coldest day up in Maine somewhere, up in Alaska, and you leave your nice warm house and you go out and you take your first breath and your lungs start screaming at you and say, hey bud, hey girl, warm that stuff up before you send it down here. That's cold. What are you doing? Same with a little baby taking its first breath. I mean, it's, we talk about that first breath of life. Yeah, not a pleasant experience if you're the one doing that. So, and midwives, a lot of them have told me, sometimes we have to kind of push the child's belly several times to get the kid to keep breathing. So all of that's going on inside of us when we have a fear that's coming at us. We can recognize it sometimes. Sometimes it's just our bodies just starts to respond. It's like all of these little signals all added up. And the brain said, danger, danger, danger. And we're, I don't know, it's just opening my email. And suddenly I feel that my whole life is being threatened, my well-being, my future. So she's right to feel that way, but it's what do we do with that? What happens? What can we do when we're experiencing that, when we've moved over into the sympathetic nervous thing and we're firing off all over the place? We want to flee, we want to run, we want to jump out of our skin. Two simple things, and the reason I'm bringing these up is I did look up anxiety the other day, both in TED Talks and on YouTube. And it's like, oh my goodness, everybody's talking about anxiety. And why not? Because it's an issue. And everybody has a way of doing it. And I'm going to give you a couple quick ones. But it was nice to know that there was a neuroscientist who agreed. And she said, these are two really good things to do. And I said, oh, yeah, I've been teaching that for a long time. One of them is to regulate our breathing. A really nice, big, deep breath in, and then an exhale. You can breathe it through your nose and then exhale through your mouth and make some noise. So it's kind of like, and then and you do that several times. You're signaling to the body, it's okay. You're okay. The other one is the box breath. 3 or 4 counts on a breathing in. Hold it for 4. Exhale for 4. And then stay exhaled for another 4 count before you breathe back in again. So it forms a box. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, empty, and then breathing back in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have to say, because I knew I was going to do this video today, that while I was at the gym, when I was running and shortness of breath, I mean, had a pretty good run on. And as I'm stopping, I put my hands on the rail just to kind of watch the heartbeat and see if I did a box breath, if my heart rate would go down. And I was very surprised. Initially, it went from, I think I was at 95, it went down to 85, and then it came down below. I thought, wow, that's pretty quick. But When I got down to the hold it for the empty for the 4 counts, my body started to like scream at me, hey, we need blood. Let's kind of keep breathing, buddy. Keep breathing, keep breathing. And it was funny because then the rate, I'd breathe a little bit and the heart rate would go back up and go back down. So I know it works for anxiety. If you're running and you're trying to calm your heart down, say, let the body do its own sort of natural rhythm for that one and get you to a place where your breathing is normal. It's okay. And then the other one is movement, anxiety assessment, just a general assessment. Where are you at your anxiety level? And then she taught them several different kind of movements. So one was a dance movement with some music. It's always a fun thing to do. A few different martial art type movements. And during that 10 minutes of movement exercises, had them say to themselves very positive affirmations. And then they did an exam again, an assessment, and significant difference. The anxiety had, just sort of just being a student, it was up here pretty high. And then it reduced down to a very calm, normal type of activity after the dancing and the movement, some martial art sorts of things. And I think it's because, when we do the movement, our body produces dopamines, serotonin, neuronephrines, endorphins. It just produces this beautiful chemical, as she calls it, like a bubble bath. It just sort of soaks the brain in this, and all these wonderful chemicals that really boost positive feelings. It boosts our mood. It boosts a sense of reward. Simple things that we can do to help ourselves. And again, just like you can get adrenaline going through the system when we get scared, we produce these other feelings and other chemicals in the brain to help us calm down and relax. There is a book out there on dopamine. You have to be a little bit careful with this because it's sort of like the scrolling, the little dopamine boost that you're getting when you're scrolling through in social media. Not quite so good. And we already know that scrolling in social media produces a depressive feeling in the body. So we'll talk about that in another video, not today. This is the positive stuff. We want to do these things. How do you use it? Well, like if you're a student, on your way to class, if you're taking an elevator ride up, you got a test ahead of you, get off a floor or two early before the floor you're getting off at, and just do a power walk up the stairs. Take those 2 flights, and in you go. I talk to nurses all the time, so if any of the nursing community is here, you know what I'm going to say is get off the elevator, take the walk, do that sort of power walk. Get a buddy to cover your clients or your patients if you need to. If you just need to step off the floor and do that, it changes the mood automatically. It reduces the anxiety, and just, especially if you're doing positive affirmations. For the students, I'd say things like, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I've got this, I know my material, I could write the exam. And I hope that's how you're practicing your studying, is thinking about how would you ask the exam? How would you ask these questions when you go through your practice questions? How would you see if somebody really knew the material or kind of knew the material? What would be the little nuances, especially in the multiple answer questions, because they're all technically right. There's just one that's best. So as you go through it, what's that questioner getting at? What are they trying to find out about you? And then when you do your affirmations, say, I've got this. I'm a good question poser. I can see the little trick questions that are in there, the always and the nevers and all those words that you use to point me over in this direction to the A answer, when in fact it's actually the C answer, because you have this little clause and phrase in the question. Maybe sometime we'll shoot a video on test taking. Keep that in mind. Anxiety reduction. Why do we want to do it? Well, it improves our life. But it also, when you see a friend or a work colleague or companion or just somebody walking down the street and they're just really having trouble. They're feeling anxious. You have some insight into what's going on in for them and in them, and you can help them move out of that sympathetic nervous state into the parasympathetic side. Para as in parachute, just that deep breath in that we started with, and then calm, collected, safe. It's okay. I'm competent. I'm capable. I'm able. That positive feeling. And when you can share that and give that to somebody else, you're beginning to change the world. And if we ever needed anything like that, now's the time. We need to calm everything down. We need to find the little sparks of light that you can offer to others in this world that we're in right now. And find those ways to help other people take that big, soft, deep breath and relax. Calm down. Know that you're safe. Know that you're loved. Know that you've got this. And you do. As always, need a little extra help, coaching, mentoring, please reach out. Contacts right here underneath the video in the information box. Some other information maybe in there. There's some things on the website. There actually is a guide for working through anxiety that's free. Just leave me your name and an email address, and we'll get it out to you right away. Always a pleasure. Big love. Namaste. Peace.